Hi guys, what is up? Mac here from Mac Media Presents with yet another video review. This is my fifth time recording this. Previous times it's because either the laptop's died or the camera's just been really lagging, so I'm just basically doing this as a voice review because my mic works fine. If you guys, before I start, if you guys like the channel, be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the little bell to be notified. And be sure to let me know in the comments, what you want to see me cover, what videos you'd like to see, stuff like that. So, also give you a quick update. Recently I've been trying to build up subscriber numbers. I've been doing thumbnails for upcoming projects that I'm doing, such as reviews for Umbrella Academy Season 1 House, Spider-Man the Spider-Verse, and games like Jump Force and Resident Evil 2, for example. But today's review had to be done because I've been trying to do this now for, like I said, 5 times, and it's because, honestly, it really, really annoyed me when I saw it yesterday. So in order to really understand how I feel about this review, I need to take you all back a little bit. So, I've been a fan of the horror genre since I was about, I'd probably say since I was about 9, 10. Originally it was because, I was always told you're not allowed to watch it until you're older, and instinctively that made me think, okay, well, I want to watch it now. So yeah, I really got into horror at a young age, and basically, the more I got into the horror genre, the more I really started to understand it, the more I loved stuff like the practical effects, the use of lighting, the use of sound, colour, set like backdrops and sets, creature designs, like basically the way the killers look, the way ambience is used to create atmosphere, stuff like that. And I've always loved horror for that. It's why horror is genuinely my favourite genre. And in the horror genre, there has been very few things that have had a very lasting effect with me. These things being, just at least off the top of my head, the Grady twins from The Shining, The Exorcist, PT, the ill-fated Silent Hill demo, and the video game Alien Isolation. Now, Alien Isolation, for anyone who doesn't know about it, was a video game that came out all the way back in 2014. It was published by Sega, developed by Creative Assembly, the studio perhaps best known for the Total War games, if I'm correct. And that game is a masterpiece. It's a true perfect look into the Alien universe, and it's honestly one of the best, if not the best, survival horror game out there. Well, I say that. Dead Space 2 is probably the best survival horror game, but in terms of the scariest, I'd easily give it to Alien Isolation. Alien Isolation is one of the few games which has genuinely scared me to the point where I still haven't finished it. The reason being, I'll give you a quick backdrop into this. When I was playing it for the first time, there was a part where I got into a medical bay, and you need to sneak through this medical bay while the xenomorph is hunting you. And the thing is, there's this part where I hid under a table to try and avoid it. And I heard it nearby, so I peeked my head out to see if it had gone. It had gone. I just thought, okay, I'll stay here a little bit longer, and hopefully it'll pass by. I turned away from the computer screen for literally 10 seconds, and the bastard was dragging me out, kicking and screaming, and put his little mouth through my head. And that is literally the first time in my life that a game has really made me squeal. I genuinely didn't play the game for the best part of a year because of it. I had nightmares for at least 2 days following it. And I went back to it at a later date. I got a bit further. Then I stopped because of facehuggers, because facehuggers are literally my worst nightmare. Mainly, I mean, the spiders with with fingers for, legs. That's horrifying. But, regardless of all this, it's a masterpiece. It's so beautifully crafted. It's a game that it focuses on the lighting, it focuses on the sound, the ambience, the atmospheric feel. It's got H.R. Geiger's designs down to a T. You know, it's even got the grain filter, so it looks like something from 1979. It's perfect. It's very, very atmospheric, and especially the fact that the alien alone, it's this sentient AI where no matter what you do, you can't kill it. All you can do is scare it off, but it learns from your experiences. A bit like the way games like Hello Neighbor have adapted it recently. But it's where the AI is constantly learning. So, you have stuff like, if you throw a noisemaker to distract it, it'll see the noisemaker the first time, but then afterwards it'll start to get clever and realise that you're throwing stuff to try and distract it. And I always liked the idea. I mean, especially when you went into the vents. When you went into the vents, that was terrifying. And it was a great game all around. Then we flash forward to 2019. Now, 2019, obviously, this year is the 40th anniversary of the original 1979 Alien, directed by Ridley Scott. And to celebrate it, Fox Next, or Foxnet, or whatever the hell they decide to call themselves, they basically decided, let's celebrate by expanding the story of Alien Isolation. Many of us gamers thought, okay, this could mean that we will finally get the sequel that we want. They announced Alien Blackout, which is a sequel to Alien Isolation, as a mobile game. Something that the fans of the game, the people who've loved this game and it made it have as much of a cult following as it has, did not want. Most gamers, and I mean, I can't speak for every gamer, that's why I'm saying most, because I know a good few gamers who will agree with me on this. Mobile gaming is terrible. Mobile gaming, it's got its benefits. There's some games which can benefit from stuff like mobile gaming, stuff like Infinity Blade. I think that's pretty much it. I mean, I know Nintendo's had some recent ones, such as Super Mario Run, Dragalia Lost. But for the most part, though, mobile gaming is not good. It's not. And the fact that they decided to do a sequel to one of the best horror games of all time and turn it into a cheap mobile Five Nights at Freddy's knockoff, which, people have to pay money for this as well, and it looks bad. It looks very bad. I've never played it, so I don't intend to play it, so I don't think I'll ever review it. But I've seen enough footage. I mean, if you want a basic rundown of it, I highly suggest you go watch Angry Joe. Angry Joe played it, and it looks bad. It looks very, very bad. But yeah, so moving on. They then decided to announce a television series. Well, I say a television series, a web series, based on the first game, based on Alien Isolation. And the idea is so that it could bring in people who haven't played Alien Isolation and introduce them to the story and introduce them to the characters. Now, myself, I've always been a very big advocate of video game movies. I mean, a lot of people hate them. I understand why people hate them. Personally, though, they've always had a soft spot for me. I've always loved video game movies. Even the shit ones. I mean, there is a few which are just diabolical, like primarily the U-Ball films, stuff like House of the Dead, Alone in the Dark. You know, because they're horror games that I grew up with, and they're just not what the story's about at all. Um, but regardless, I've always had a soft spot for like video game films, and I've always said the place where video game movies always tend to fail is they try to copy so much. Well, I say they try to copy so much. They try to change it up so much. They try to be so different from the source material, and it never works. I mean, obviously from what we've seen in the trailers, the Detective Pikachu movie that's on the way, yeah, the Pokemon look a little weird in like a realistic setting, but from the looks of it though, they're sticking pretty closely to the actual Detective Pikachu game, and you know that's something I'm okay with. I mean, and I've always said that as long as you stay true to the source material, you keep that in line, and essentially you're just recreating the game, but for an audience that doesn't play games, then that's fine, because it's introducing these people to these characters. It's helping more people to get to know the franchise, and it might even make people go out and buy consoles to try it. I've always seen this as a very clever business position that most people don't tend to take up on. I mean, Assassin's Creed, for example, looked promising, and then, I mean, I still like Assassin's Creed, but the thing is, they had this bit where they showed the Animus, and the Animus is this big fucking toy grabber, and I didn't understand that at all. It's like, it looked bad. But we're not here to talk about Assassin's Creed. I'm here to talk about this. So this TV show, it's adapting all the cutscenes from the game into a television show, and it's bad. Let me just get that out of the way straight away. It's bad. It's basically the story of Alien Isolation is it takes place between Alien and aliens. It follows Amanda Ripley, the daughter of Ellen Ripley, and she basically joins Weyland-Yutani to try and find answers into her mother's disappearance. Things go awry on her mission, and she ends up trapped aboard a derelict space station called Sevastopol, where she is being haunted by a giant xenomorph. Now, I can't do this story justice. I can't do it justice by talking about it. It's one of those things you do need to experience. But I will say, and this is the one thing I will say, they completely destroyed any aspect of story in Alien Isolation with this show. You see, for a start, they didn't use the cutscenes from the game. I mean, they did. They got the exact same cutscenes, but they remade them. And they remade them with this junky, very freezy, laggy sort of animation. And, you know, the characters were jittering about the screen. And, I mean, there was this bit where Amanda Ripley's walking, and she's walking like a robot. You know, when you're seeing the third-person model. And when you consider that the game was in first person, the way they've designed Amanda just looks terrible. I mean, especially when you look at the facial animation. The facial animation on Amanda Ripley, it's worse than Mass Effect Andromeda. And Mass Effect Andromeda was a fucking mess. I mean, like, half the time you didn't even know what the hell their faces were doing. But I mean, the fact that they did that, though, they took this animation. I mean, they took the game and they just essentially botched the animation completely. Which, when you're doing an animated digital series, it's the last thing you want to botch up. But this gets even worse, people. They had the audio going out of sync. The audio wasn't in time with the characters' movements, the characters' voices, and it's terrible. You don't do that. You never do that. I mean, yeah, there's video games and films sometimes where they go out of sync. Normally, the only times I've really encountered it in films is when it's like a dub, and so you've got the English dub over like say like a Japanese dialect, and that's the only time I've ever seen audio out of sync, and I understand that. But when you have an animated series, there's no need for it. There's no reason for it to be so out of sync, especially when it is meant to be an English animated series. Sorry about that. Point is, though, that was a very bad thing for me. It really drew me out. I just couldn't take anything they were saying seriously. There was this part in episode 2, in particular, where through the show, there would be bits where it would flicker with the 20th Century Fox logo. And, I mean, it looked... You know when you play stuff like, say, like Assassin's Creed Unity, for example, when there was that glitch where people's faces were disappearing? It was like that. It was kind of like having a glitch inside the television show. And it was like a repetitive glitch. And it was terrible. It was so bad to see that, because, like, you'd just start to get drawn in, and then this big 20th Century Fox logo would flash in your face, and you'd just instantly be drawn out again. And considering this game prided itself on atmosphere and horror and stuff like that, it doesn't have any of it. It's boring. It's bland. As I said, Alien Isolation is one of the few games where I genuinely got so scared, I haven't played it. Like, I haven't beat it. I've played the game, I've played it quite a few times, it's just I haven't beat it. I will say that's one of the good things about this show. It genuinely made me go back. I've now downloaded Alien Isolation, and I intend to beat it. That is the good thing about this. It's made me want to play Alien Isolation again. The other good thing I'll say about it, just to get it out of the way, is that there's this scene in episode 3 where the xenomorph comes out and it starts killing all these people, and it does it to this sort of like classical music montage where you just see it walking along the station, like slashing people apart. And it's good because when that classical music plays and you see that xenomorph, it really shows that the xenomorph is a force to be reckoned with. It's a threat. It's terrifying. It's not cannon fodder like 2 onwards made it out to be. It's genuinely a monster designed with fear in mind. And so you've got that aspect of it. And that is literally the only real terrifying sequence in the entire show. I mean, to be fair, the facial animations and the animation in general is just more terrifying than the alien. I mean, even during this montage, there's bits where you'll see stuff like the people getting ripped apart, and the blood just looks so bad. I mean, the entire animation looks like a mid PS3 game. Like, it looks like it was made from the PlayStation 3 generation, and it's disappointing. It's disappointing to say the least. Another big issue I had with it was there's this bit where in the show there's a bit where obviously they've got Amanda Ripley doing this sort of monologue, sort of like a narration. And there's a bit when she starts saying about how her mother never really loved her, and her mother always put the job first, and, you know, she felt that, you know, her mother made the choice that she'd rather work than spend time with her daughter. And it's like, if you really thought this, and you really hated your mother that much, then why would you even go searching for answers? Why would you choose to do this? You know, and I mean, to be fair as well, when you encounter the xenomorph, you can surely think, maybe she got killed by this thing. Maybe that's why she never came back for me, because she got killed by this monster. And then it gets to the point where there's a scene in the game where she comes across this recorded message from Ellen Ripley. where it's a very heartfelt message explaining why she wasn't returned, like why she never came back so soon, and it's heartbreaking. It is heartbreaking, and the thing that made that scene so effective was you had Sigourney Weaver return to voice Ripley, and the fact that you had the Queen of Horror herself. Well, I say the Queen of Horror. I probably say the Queen of Sci-Fi. You had the Queen of Sci-Fi come back herself to voice this character that she became synonymous for. And I'm sure synonymous means good. Don't quote me on that. I'm pretty thick. But yeah, so she became iconic because of this role, and that was in a cutscene for the original game. And they replaced her with the actual voice actress for Amanda in the show. And I just kept thinking, if you're using the cutscenes, then why not just use Sigourney Weaver's voice? You know? It doesn't make sense. You have that footage there. Use it. Like I said, obviously it prides itself on horror, the game. And the show just got rid of it completely because it cut out most of the sequences in the game, which were terrifying. The medical bay scene, for example, like I said, the medical bay level was probably one of the most horrifying early experiences in the game. Because you're trapped in this medical bay alone with the alien, and you need to get in, you need to find key cards, and you need to sneak around, and you need to be as quiet as possible, otherwise it's instant death. And this is something you really need to think about. And, so you do this, and, basically, they completely scrapped the medical bay. They mention it, they do mention it, but they don't show it. Or they might show it, but it's only very brief. They don't go into what makes it so good, what makes it so tense, the fact that you've got this creature breathing down your neck constantly. There's a bit when Ripley goes into a giant reactor, and in the game, this is a sequence where you go into a reactor, and you basically end up inside a gigantic alien hive. There's xenomorphs everywhere, there's the eggs, face huggers, there's every kind of creature from your personal nightmares is there. And basically, they fucking completely scrapped the hive. They showed her going into the reactor, then she came out completely fine, and it's like that scene is horrifying. It was so on the edge of your seat. I mean, hell, I was sweating when I saw that. And just the fact that they didn't include it, it's like, if there's people out there who haven't played this game or want to experience this story, then they're going to be so disappointed because there's not going to be all the atmosphere and all the horror that made the game so special. And I think when you're doing something like Alien, you really do need to capture that, that feeling of desperation, that feeling that you've lost all hope, that feeling that you're trapped in this claustrophobic space, there's no chance of survival. That's what you need to focus on when you're doing something related to the Alien universe. And this show just completely destroyed all aspects of that from the game. I'm nearly done with me rant now. I will say this, and this is the big final straw. IGN should not have got this. IGN shouldn't have gotten Alien Isolation, the series. Because this is the thing, if you go back to 2014, IGN reviewed that game and gave it a 5.9. They gave it a terrible score. And when you look at that and you think, see, I know there's people out there who buy games based off of review scores, and instead of just playing the game, like most people tend to do. And because of this, though, there's people out there who will have not picked up Alien Isolation when it came out. Missing out on a masterpiece just because the staff were bad at playing a video game. As obviously games like Dead Cells and stuff has proved over the recent year. But as we, like I said though, as we go further forward though, the people who essentially destroyed any chance of this becoming a franchise now own the exclusive rights to air the TV series of it. And they do this through their YouTube channel. This is where I watched it. I mean, they've got it on IGN.com and through the YouTube channel. I watched it through the YouTube channel, and there's a big fucking watermark right across the bottom of the screen. And for me, it's not... I mean, when you look on my channel, like, I sometimes have a watermark on there, but it's very, very tiny. It's very faint. It's not like you could really notice it. Whereas IGN, it's like big, massive fuck-off letters. And, you know, when it takes up actual, like, footage on the screen, it's bad. It's very distracting. And I feel this has been done the complete wrong way. One other thing I will give it credit for, it used actual gameplay footage from the game. There's a few bits where it wasn't the first person. These sequences were good, they were very smooth, and it just proved why the game is smoother than the fucking TV show. So, because of that, I thank it, because it proves the point that I'm trying to make. Overall, I honestly, I can't recommend this to anybody. It's bad. Just don't watch it. It's free, I know, but don't watch it. It's bad. 2 out of 10. Like I said, it's got very, very bad animation. It's got very bad facial animation, like worse than Mass Effect Andromeda. It's got like Amanda Ripley's design is just horrible. Like when you look at the character models in the scenes where it should be in first person, she looks like a fucking robot half the time. Like I said, there's no atmosphere, there's no horror aspect to it at all. Like I said, the big IGN watermarks are really big fucking letdown. And there's just, like, audio going out of sync. I mean, there's just so many red flags with this one. I mean, it's really short as well. I mean, they condensed this really long game down to, an hour and 10 minutes? Each episode's about 10 minutes long. It's bad. You don't do that with a game that's well respected like Alien Isolation. So if you want my honest thoughts, don't watch this. I give it a 2 out of 10. Go out and buy Alien Isolation instead. Yeah, you're paying for it, but you're getting the better experience. And maybe, hopefully, Sega can look at this and realize that people want Alien Isolation too. They want this game, and they will make it. That's personally a crazy guy's thoughts, but I honestly hope that. I hope people will buy this game instead and realize that it is the much better experience. You know, I'm speaking as a fan of horror, as a fan of Alien, especially the designs in Alien. H.R. Geiger's work is fucking beautiful. And hopefully you guys will make the right choice. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. You know, if you did, be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the little bell to be notified. Like I said at the beginning, if you comment below, let me know anything that you'd like me to cover. I'll try my very best to cover it. And if you guys have watched this, be sure to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Am I wrong? You know, did you think it was actually decent, or did you feel like it was very jittery like me and it was bad? I really would like to hear people's thoughts on this one. Wow. I'm genuinely lost for words. But until next time, guys, to quote Aliens, stay frosty.